to me, the way you're articulating it sounds like you're saying you had a discomfort with being a woman more than you had a belief that you're a man.
And eventually that became a belief that I was a young man, but that didn't naturally come on its own. I started using social media when I was about 11, and I got my first cell phone. And I would mostly browse like stuff that was like oriented around my interest. But a lot of the kids that were also in these communities online just so happened to be young girls and sometimes boys who called themselves by the opposite sex. And this was nothing I'd ever like really read about my whole life. So it was very novel, very interesting.
This wasn't on Tumblr, was it?
Well, I wasn't really using Tumblr a whole lot at the time, but there was like a lot of overlap between Instagram, which is primarily what I was using, and that community. There was like a lot of cross-posting between platforms. So it was basically the same kind of culture between the two. And
probably after the Tumblr shut down then.
No, it was like I'd say it was like probably like 5 years before that maybe.
Okay.
But like seeing these other kids who I could relate to like more than anybody that I knew in real life, and seeing them seemingly become happier through doing this and get through all the same problems that I had was like, wait, this is like the logical next step for me. Because they are just like me.
What was your parents' reaction to all this stuff?
When I first told them, they were kind of at a loss. Like, they knew that I was a tomboyish girl, but I don't think any sane parent wants to hear this from their own kid. Like, I feel so distressed that I don't want to be the person who I was made to be in your womb. I feel like it's such a painful thing for a mother or father to hear from their own kid. And it certainly was for them. But they could see, like, it was clearly a mental health issue for me, and it probably came from some of my other social and emotional difficulties that I was going through at the time, and just me being a kid going through puberty. And they had the right idea. Like, they were okay with me just, like, experimenting with the way that I dressed and stuff, and nothing beyond that. They didn't believe that I was actually their son, but they had their hand forced when they decided that they were going to send me to a therapist and to get me a psychiatric evaluation and mental health help. For one, they weren't allowed in the room with me, so they didn't know what was actually going on.
Your parents weren't what?
They weren't allowed in the room with me during these consultations.
Oh, really?
By California law.
What age?
I was 12, going on 13 at the time, and I was going to my 8th grade year of middle school. So when my mom and dad spoke to the
your
therapist
parents were
themselves,
not allowed to be in the room.
No, so there's a California law that's basically it emancipates minors at the age of 12, for the purpose of their mental health.
Wow.
So they can seek mental health treatment without the involvement or notification of their parents.
But you said they weren't allowed. So was it your choice for them to?
So they were the ones who had me see the therapist, but because I didn't give express consent to have them in there with me, then they weren't allowed to know what was like discussed during these appointments or just be in there. They just had to like wait outside the door and wait for me to come out. And there was no follow-up or anything. And I was like a 12-year-old kid with communication issues. And just the fact that we were being separated had me thinking like, wait, what if my mom and dad would get angry at me for talking about this? So
there's implication in that. There's a lot of times they don't, or at least if you're separating children from parents, there's an implication to the child that's not communicated verbally, but there's an implication that, hey, maybe there's something wrong with your parents knowing this.
Right. And I mean, if you're already like a kid who doesn't have a super close relationship with their parents in the first place, then that's going to further divide that. And so when you start to separate a child from the parent, things will get worse for them in every way. So I was going to therapy, but nothing was happening other than me being told like, oh yeah, you are a boy. Your feelings are real. And you like we're going to expect your mom and dad to go along with this. There is nothing actually happening to help me with real issues that I had. I was going through a bit of a depression at the time because all my friends were older than me, and I was in 8th grade, but everybody else, all my older friends had graduated and gone to high school by that point. I was being bullied at school, and I just wanted to feel like I had some place of belonging and some sense of understanding myself and an identity. And that was really all I needed. And the fix to that would have just been simple. But they made it into this complex thing.
There was this theory that I heard. There are a decent amount of kids who claim to be trans It's actually because something in their life, maybe they're young, high school, 14, 15. Let's say because we're in the era of social media and there's videos. When I was a kid, if you like barfed in the cafeteria, you know, everyone would be like, whoa, dude, you see him barf? These days, you barf in the cafeteria. Somebody filmed it. It's up on social media. And it's permanent. It's forever.
Yep.
And so I was reading this thing about how there are some therapists who believe that when a child in grade school or high school experiences a trauma and it's attached to them permanently through social media, there is only one way to escape that. Change who you are. And that they've encountered certain circumstances where the individual who was distressed was actually trying to escape something attached to their name. Hence, they wanted to change their name and change who they were. And when they went to counselors and said, I have anxiety all the time, I don't feel right, I'm constantly being bullied, blah, 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 they said, maybe you're trans. And they said, what does that mean? And they said, we can change your name, we can change who you are, you'll go to a different school, and you'll be a different person. And that was an escape to the bullying and trauma of their previous person. And not only that, if anyone at the other school dead named that person and brought up anything from their past, you'd get in trouble. So
They're protected.
Suddenly you're protected. You can't be bullied anymore as long as you go along with this thing.
Oh.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, I am part of the first generation of kids who grew up with basically these eyeballs all around us that if somebody catches something stupid that you're doing or saying, it's on the internet forever, and people know you for it forever. And I definitely felt that sense of pressure growing up. I was bullied not only at school, but also people would say post photos of me and say awful things about me online. These other kids who I went to school with, and I think it's no wonder that kids want to escape the mistakes of their past when they're not allowed to live it down.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast IRL. Make sure to watch the show live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. Subscribe to this channel, and we will see you all there.